Okay, so I've got two functions up on the board, and we're going to do numbers 1, 2, and 3 off of these. You know what? I'm just going to go 1 and 2 here. Let me screen that off. Let's just do 1, and then we'll go from there. All right, so you've got two functions. The f function is 3x squared minus 4x plus 2. The g function is 6x plus 3. First thing I want you to do is what number 1 says to do. I'm going to pause and give you time, and then we'll take a look and see what you did. All right? You didn't do that because it's the f function minus the whole g function. And you didn't distribute your negative. And because you didn't distribute your negative, you got a positive 5 on the end, you're going to get the problem wrong. Right? This thing is 3x squared. Okay, the negative 4x and the negative 6x is definitely the negative 10x. But now we have a negative 3 on the end with a positive 2, and it should be negative 1, right? Be careful on subtraction. If it were addition, it wouldn't be any big deal. You just add up like terms. But if it's subtraction, you are subtracting the whole second function from the first one, right? So again, we have this in front, the f function, minus the whole g function. Subtraction. All right, do number 2. And I'm going to pause. All right, on 3, give me what you got. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Okay, I heard some of the mumbled answer, I think. Not very confident. I don't know why. Negative 41 over 15, right? Take the f function with negative 3 in for the independent variable. Divide it by the g function with negative 3 in for the independent variable. Negative 3 squared is 9. 3 times 9 is 27. Negative 4 times negative 3 is a positive 12. Plus 2, that's a 41. 6 times negative 3 is negative 18. Plus 3 is negative 15. Don't leave negatives in the bottom. Negative 41 over 15. How many had that right? That's scary. All right, because that's supposed to be easy. All right. Not a whole lot I can do there if you're having issues on that one. Okay, do number 3. Jeff?
What do you do if, like, the independent variable is just regular x?
So then it would be 2 polynomials, and we've already dealt with a polynomial divided by a polynomial. If you can, you might try to factor to see if it reduces. But remember, you can only reduce factor with factor. You can't cross out like x's with x's. That doesn't work, right? So again, if you were going to do the variables, the only thing you could do to see is if it reduces. If not, it would just be the f function over the g function. Does G composition F equal F composition G? Is it commutative? No. Right? The order doesn't matter. If I would have given it the other way, it would have been tougher. You should have gotten 18x squared minus 24x plus 15. How many got that? Right? So the whole second function, F, goes in for the variable or variables of the first. So if I did it the other way around, the 6x plus 3 would be going into 2 places, right? And you'd have to multiply out this binomial because you'd have a binomial squared. Okay? Gave it to you the easy way. Any questions on those 3? Anybody? Any questions on those 3? Okay, let's go on to the next 3. All right, so now I'm going to give you the functions as sets of points. And so the first question is find that. Tell me the solution to that. And I'm going to pause. All right, so on 3, give me your answer. 1, 2, 3. You guys don't sound all that confident. All right, what is what is h of negative 2? H of negative 2 is a 3. And from that, we're supposed to subtract j of negative 2. And I got my colors backwards. And what is j of negative 2? It's a 4. And last time I checked, 3 minus 4 is negative 1. How many got that one correct? Okay. And again, the rest of you not quite comprehending what's going on. See, in this situation, we're looking for a specific output. We want the output for an input of negative 2 in the h minus the input of negative 2 for the j. We want that output. And that's what we're looking for. So in this case, it's simply negative 1. All right, so take that knowledge and do number 5. And again, I'm going to pause. If you understand, you're done. If you're not done, you don't understand. All right, so on 3, give me your answer. 1, 2, 3. 20, because what is j of 3? It's a 5. What is h of 3? It's a 4. 5 times 4 is 20, right? Output is 20. How many got that one right? Okay. So again, we have a value that we're looking for. We're looking for an input of 3. And that's the difference here. There's not an x there. If there were an x there, we wouldn't really be able to do anything. Because we really don't know the function. We just have some of the points. Okay. Do number 6. What is number 6? All right, again, if you know what's going on, you can do this in your head. So on 3, give me your solution. 1, 2, 3.
4.
Okay. So this was your thought process, right? You took the output when j is 0. And that was a 3. And you therefore found out what h of 3 is, right? And therefore you said 4. Okay. Because putting the whole second function in for the independent variable of the first, when you have a specific input, that whole second function is its output. So again, by doing j of 0, the output is a 3. So now I need to figure out what is h's output when its input is 3. And h's output when its input is 3 is a 4. Okay? That's what composition is. Composition is take the output of the second function and put it in as the input of the first function. Take the output of the second function and put it in as the input of the first function. Now again, when you have an x there, then you have to come up with a rule that cares for any possible input-output. And that's why you have variables. But when they give you a specific input, then we're able to get a specific output. All right, any questions on those 3? You got to be able to do 1 through 6 come tomorrow and come Thursday. You got to be able to add, subtract, multiply, divide, and composition functions come tomorrow and Thursday. All right, let's do another one. Number 7. Give me the inverse of that function. Okay, I'm going to pause. Okay, so hopefully you started somewhat like this. All right, switch your x's and you switch your y's. I'm going to solve for y. So let's move that 7 to the other side. So now I'm at x negative 10 minus 10 equals 4y. Divide both sides by 4. I could actually leave it in that form. X minus 10 over 4, but replace my y with the inverse notation. Hey, you could actually use g to the negative 1, h to the negative 1, j to the negative 1, whichever one floats your boat. I heard float your boat on the radio yesterday, so I had to use it today because they said it's never used anymore, except by old people. Is that true? Do young people occasionally use float your boat? All right, good. I thought it was still alive and kicking. Leah.
Can you split them up?
Yeah, and so if you split it up, 1/4 x or x over 4 minus 5 halves, you would reduce that second part, right? Either way is fine, and I'll take it either way. Okay? Any other questions on that one? How many got that one right? Okay. So again, you're switching x and y's. Hey, be careful. You could have a quadratic in this. And therefore, then you have to solve that. You have to put that quadratic in form, but that's not a big deal. You're just switching x's and y's and going from there. Okay. Number 8. Prove g of x equals 4x plus 8 and h of x equals 1/4 x minus 2 are inverses. Prove that those two are inverses. And I'm going to pause. All right, you got two ways you can prove it. You can find the inverse of the g function like we just did a minute ago and see if it looks like h. You can find the inverse of the h function and see if it looks like g, right? Or you could do what? Composition the functions, right? G composition h of x should end up equaling what? X. All right, so take the g function where the variable is, put in the whole h function. Be careful here, you got to distribute. I'm frozen, all right. Where'd I stick it? Right there, in front of my face. Okay, so put the whole g function in for the variable, or the whole h function in for the variable of the g. On the first distribution, the 4's divide out, giving you x. 4 times negative 2 is negative 8 plus 8. Okay, it worked that way. Which, by the way, it does have to work both ways. So now we got to do it the other way. So now I'm going to take h, and where the variable is, I'm going to put in g. 1/4 times 4 is 1, you get x. 1/4 times 8 is a positive 2, and sure enough, you get x both times, and they are inverses. You could mathematically find the inverse of g, again, like we did a minute ago, and find the inverse of h, as we did a minute ago, and show that you get the other one each time you find the inverse. But I was really hoping you'd remember to composition them and see if you get x. Okay? How many were able to do either of those methods? All right, and the rest of you, now you hopefully remember. All right, next one. For that function, answer all 5 questions. Flatter or steeper, growth or decay, horizontal shift, vertical shift. Give the growth rate as a percent. Go ahead and answer all 5. I'm going to pause. All right, thank you. Which have inverses? List all that apply. Let me go back. Go ahead. I'm going to talk while you... Oh, that should have been frozen. Okay, let me freeze this, and I'm going to go back, and for the sake of the video, if you guys watch it... Why does he keep doing that on me? It's supposed to be frozen. Okay, anyhow. So steeper growth, left, what was that? 3. Bad-looking 3. Down 3. 600th growth rate because of 1 plus 6. All right, sorry about that. Go ahead and give me... Now it freezes. Go ahead and give me all that have inverses. Are you done yet? All right, we'll take them one by one. Does A have an inverse, yes or no? Yes. Does B have an inverse, yes or no? No. C have an inverse, yes or no? C is a hyperbola, by the way. B could be a cosecant or secant function. We'll get those a couple chapters down the road. Does D have an inverse, yes or no? No. Does E have an inverse, yes or no? No. B through E all fail the horizontal line test, meaning none of those are in a one-to-one correspondence. Therefore, they do not have inverses unless we restrict the domain. That's a whole other story. Straight up, they don't have inverses. Okay? Any questions on that before we roll on? If you can find a horizontal line that hits 2 or more points, it does not have an inverse. It fails the horizontal line test. It is not in a one-to-one correspondence. You can't go backwards. Or in the vernacular, some girls are dating more than one guy. Right? Okay? All right, could you graph that function without all those stupid boxes around it? Could you graph that function? Can't get rid of all those stupid boxes. I don't know why. Can you graph? So y equals negative 1/2 times 2 to the negative x plus 4. Could you graph that? All right, I'm going to pause. Go ahead and start what you would do to graph it. I can't help you. All right. So 0, 3 1/2, 1, 3 3/4, 2, 3 7/8. -1 is 3, -2 is 2, -3 is 0, and -4 is -4, and gives you that curve. All right. I didn't have time for the last one. I wanted to find out if Big Daddy Trader ended up with $384,373 in an account that had a beginning investment of 20 grand, compounded quarterly for 25 years. What was the interest rate? Anybody know the compounding formula? Like F of T or A equals P times the quantity, 1 plus R over N to the NT. And N is the number of compoundings per year, T is the time, rate's always in decimal form. So I want you to find the rate in that question. That's an awesome question. 384,373, 20 grand initial investment, quarterly compounding 25 years. What's the interest rate? What's the interest rate? 384 grand in 25 years. Compounded quarterly, what would be the interest rate? All right, so all the time I have. Quiz tomorrow, test on Thursday.